Welcome back to my channel. I'm Deborah Pettit, and today we are going to discuss how to advertise, how to market, how to sell your books, even when you're on vacation. Obviously, I just got back from vacation, and so I did some things that I think really helped to sell my books. So, first, 2 months before I left, I got in contact with a few schools where I went. And I just asked them, would you be interested in having an author um, come to your classroom, share about the publishing experience, read a little bit of my book. And for the littles, um, could we, maybe I can bring some stuff to paint. Um, and two schools said yes, and that I had um, two different classes at one school, and I had another class at another school. So I went to three classrooms, and it was so fantastic. I'm going to tell you what I did. Obviously, each book would be different, but I'm going to give you some ideas on how to engage the kids. So the first thing I did was, let me show you. I, when I got there, I bought a bunch of, um, bugs from Hobby Lobby. Very excited. I love Hobby Lobby, but it was like $6 for a bunch of different ones. What's great is some of those bugs will come out in my second book. This one is the baboon spider from my book, The Heroes of the Tuduma Forest. So, what I did was I brought it in, and I am dressed pretty nice. I mean, I did still have jeans on, but I had really nice blouse and earrings and necklace and rings and, my hair done up. And um, and I brought this in and I set it on my lap. I set it right on my lap and I just started petting it. And the boys their eyes got so big, and the girls were like, ugh. So I really grabbed their attention right away. And then I asked them, have you ever seen a spider as big as a house? And they're like, what? No. And I said, Emma has. Well, at least as big as her house. Her house is a mushroom. And so immediately the kids are like, whoa, what? And want to know more. So any of your books, it could be, they could be, um, you know, any genre really, but picking something out, you think about your hook and you can bring that hook out with the kids and just bring them in immediately. I even thought it would be fun. I had an electric spider, and if I had planned a little bit more with the teachers, it would have been really cool to open the door and have the electric spider come in. That might have gotten them really riled up, so it might have been a little chaotic. But I love that. Like, I love getting kids excited, getting them interested, and a little fun isn't going to hurt anybody, right? So after I introduced, and it was like 3 minutes or something, introduced my idea, like, okay, introduced Emma, talked about her, and And then with two of the classes, I ended up explaining what the publishing process is all about. So first, an intro. Then I would say, "Hi, my name is Deborah Pettit. I'm the author of The Heroes of the Taduma Forest, and I'd like to read my book, but in a little bit." And then I went ahead and talked about the process. For the younger ones, I nixed all of that publishing stuff and just went into reading the book. Then after, we painted, and that was fun. Going through the publishing process pretty quickly, but also I really engaged them. I tried to ask them questions. I started out, I've written all my life, and yet life got busy, so I didn't publish. And who's busy? Raise your hand if you're busy. Okay. Who has sports that they play? Well, what kind of sport do you play? And I asked a bunch of questions. Um, who plays an instrument? Who has a pet? Those kinds of things. Totally getting them engaged where they see she cares about us. She cares about what I like, not just lecturing us. Once I did that, I went ahead and read the book. One of the teachers had a screen and one of those cameras, so she put it above the book. So, oh my goodness, it looked like a movie. It was so cool. I loved it. And then one of the kids that raised their hand when it was question and answer time, one of them raised their hand and said, "Is your book ever going to turn into a movie?" I said, "Ooh, I sure hope so. Let's hope." And then I think somebody even mentioned dolls. And I'm like, I've been wanting to do dolls too. So that was really, really cool. Oh my goodness. They had to have had 25 questions for me at the end. That was pretty exciting. Um, so it was a really, really good time. And yeah, I would just say if you are interested in doing something in a classroom, making that hook really come to life. What I did for marketing outside of the classroom was I went to bookstores and I had, a few of my books, and I just said, "Would you be interested in selling these?" One of them said, "Oh, I'd like to order them on Ingram Spark." So he did this, type, 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 type. Okay, they're in my next order. And I'm like, "Oh, wow." Kind of like, "Oh, are you sure?" Like, is he pulling my leg? And I got home and looked, and he had ordered 5 books. So it was worth the legwork. It was a lot of work to drive around to the different bookstores. But I also went to a boutique and thought, "Oh my gosh, this looks like my book." Like all the colors, and it just really looked like it matched so well. So I just asked her, have you ever sold books here?" And she wasn't the owner, so she said she would get the owner to look at my website and stuff like that. So I don't know. It was a really nice conversation that I had. I got to talk about my second book that's coming out soon. Speaking of, I just had an epiphany while on vacation, and sometimes that happens where you're not thinking about the book, and all of a sudden like all this stuff comes to your mind. Oh, I've got a great idea. So I worked on my book quite a bit while I was on vacation, and and it was good. It was really good. So I'm almost done editing for world building. I'm really making that rich, and I'm hoping that the action comes to life because I'm mixing the world building with the action, and making that really, really clear. And what else? And dialogue. I'm changing a lot of the dialogue to make it more fluid, more realistic, and I think a little bit more fun for the kids. I ended up selling a number of books while I was there, so I really feel like it was a success, even though, um, you think, you're on vacation, you might not get anything sold, but I made the most of it, and I'm really happy that I did. All right, like and subscribe, but also leave a comment. What are some questions that you have about marketing? Or what are some ideas that you have for how you market, maybe even on vacation? All right, see you next week. Bye.